Today you'll learn about a man who may have never existed. Yet his death changed the course of World War II. The city that swallowed men. In the late summer of 1942, the city of Stalingrad ceased to be a place and became a curse. It was no longer streets and buildings, but a landscape of bones, shattered brick, frozen blood, and smoke so thick it felt solid. Soldiers did not say, "I'm going into the city." They said, "I'm entering the grinder." The Germans had promised to take Stalingrad in days. Instead, it devoured them for months. Bombs had erased entire neighborhoods in hours. The Volga River ran red at dawn, clogged with burning barges and the bodies of soldiers who never made it to shore. Those who survived the crossing knew a truth that could not be spoken aloud. The average life expectancy of a new soldier in Stalingrad was less than 24 hours. And somewhere in the ruins, the city watched. Among the Soviet reinforcements crossing the Volga one night was a quiet man from the Ural Mountains. He was a former hunter, a shepherd, a man who had learned patience by watching prey for days without moving. His name was Vasily Zaitsev. He was not supposed to be special. On his first day in the city, Zaitsev was issued a rifle, sometimes not even that. In Stalingrad, weapons were shared among the living because the dead no longer needed them. Officers shouted orders that vanished under shellfire. Men ran forward, not knowing if anyone was behind them. The Germans controlled most of the city. Machine guns waited in factories. Snipers ruled the rooftops. Any movement meant death. Zaitsev crawled. He crawled through rubble, through glass, through the remains of men he never met. He found a firing position near the railway station and waited, still, silent, breathing so slow it barely fogged the air. Hours passed. Then he saw them. A German officer stepped into view, confident, upright. He did not know he was already dead. Zaitsev fired once. The officer fell. Moments later, another German ran to help him. Zaitsev adjusted slightly. Another shot. 2 kills. 1 rifle. No wasted movement. By the end of the day, Zaitsev had killed 3 enemy soldiers. By the end of the week, more than a dozen. Word began to spread, not officially, but through whispers, through looks exchanged between exhausted men. There is a hunter among us. The Soviet command took notice, not because they cared about one man, but because Stalingrad needed symbols. Hope was as valuable as ammunition. Soon, Zaitsev was ordered not just to kill, but to teach. He trained other snipers in the ruins, turning sewer pipes into classrooms and broken walls into textbooks. He taught them how to disappear, how to merge with corpses, how to wait longer than seemed possible. The Germans noticed too. Officers began dying in strange ways, shot through eye slits, through cracks barely wide enough to see through. Morale began to crack. Something was hunting them, something they could not find. That is when the order allegedly came from Berlin. A sniper, trained in elite schools. A man whose job was to kill other snipers. A man whose mission was simple. Find Zaitsev. Kill him. And in the ruins of Stalingrad, 2 invisible men began to look for each other. The city held its breath. By October, Stalingrad no longer burned. It rotted. The fires had consumed what they could, leaving behind a frozen maze of ruins where rats grew fat and men grew thin. Every brick hit a rifle. Every window could be death. Soldiers stopped trusting silence, because silence usually meant a sniper was watching. And then the killings changed. German soldiers began dying differently. Not in bursts of machine gun fire, not from artillery, but quietly, precisely, one by one. A sentry would slump without a sound. A messenger would collapse mid-step. An officer would fall backward, eyes wide, fingers still raised in command. Always a single shot, always from nowhere. Reports flooded up the chain of command. Entire units refused to move during daylight. Snipers were being hunted systematically. The name began appearing in German intelligence summaries. Zaitsev. At first, the officers dismissed it as Soviet propaganda. They had seen this before, exaggerated heroes invented to boost morale. But the numbers kept climbing. More dead officers, more paralyzed advances, more fear. Finally, a decision was made. If the Soviets were using a sniper legend, the Germans would answer with a real one. He arrived quietly. No announcement, no fanfare, no uniform markings. According to Soviet accounts, he was a major, head of a sniper school near Berlin, a man who had trained Germany's best, a hunter of hunters. His name, if it was ever truly known, was said to be Major Erwin Koenig. He did not rush into the city. He studied it. From the outskirts, he observed patterns. Where shots came from, where bodies fell, how the Soviets reacted. He noted the distances, the angles, the times between kills. This man, he reportedly said, was raised by hunting. He waits. So Koenig waited too. The duel did not begin with gunfire. It began with patience. For days, nothing happened. Zaitsev noticed first. The city had gone wrong. Movements that once drew German fire now went unanswered. Bodies lay untouched. Traps he expected were absent. Someone was cleaning the battlefield. Zaitsev understood immediately. This is not an ordinary sniper. He warned his students, fire only when necessary. Change positions constantly. Leave false clues. Turn corpses into decoys. Soon, the first of them died. A young Soviet sniper raised his rifle for barely a second. A shot cracked. He never fired. Another sniper vanished the next day. Then another. Always a single shot. Always perfect. The Germans had changed tactics. Someone was leading them. The hunter had arrived. Zaitsev felt it in his chest. The same feeling he used to get in the mountains when he knew a wolf was tracking him. For the first time since he entered Stalingrad, he stopped hunting others. Now he hunted one man. The duel stretched over days. Both men crawled inches at a time. Both used mirrors, shards of glass, helmets mounted on sticks to bait shots. Both watched the sun, the shadows, the way dust settled after shelling. Neither wasted ammunition. Every missed shot meant death. At one point, Zaitsev spotted a glint, just a flicker of sunlight on metal. He almost fired. Almost. Then he stopped. Too obvious. Koenig had placed a trap. Hours passed. Then more hours. Neither moved. Their bodies cramped. Eyes burned. Thirst clawed at their throats. Dead soldiers lay between them, frozen in twisted positions, witnesses to a battle they could not see. Night came and went. Then, on the third day, Zaitsev noticed something unusual. A corpse that hadn't been there before. It was positioned strangely, too neatly, too deliberately, and behind it, a barely visible mound of rubble. Zaitsev smiled just slightly. He told his spotter to fire, not at the mound, but somewhere wide, something inaccurate. A fake mistake. The response was instant. A shot rang out, and in that fraction of a second, Zaitsev saw it. The tiniest movement. The smallest shift of fabric. A man raising his head to confirm the kill. Zaitsev fired. The bullet struck the scope. The man fell backward without a sound. The duel was over. Or so the legend says. The body was never paraded. No photographs were taken. No name tags were confirmed. In a war that documented everything, every wrecked tank, every captured officer, the most famous sniper ever killed in Stalingrad left almost no physical evidence behind. And that is where the story stops being simple. According to Vasily Zaitsev, the German sniper lay where he fell. His rifle was recovered. His scope was shattered. His insignia identified him as a major. Soviet officers congratulated Zaitsev, and word spread quickly through the ranks. Within days, the story appeared in Soviet newspapers. A heroic worker-turned-soldier. A master sniper sent from Berlin. A duel of pure skill in the ruins of Stalingrad. It was exactly the story the Soviet Union needed. Morale was collapsing. The city was starving. Entire battalions were disappearing overnight. But now, soldiers believed something powerful. The best Germany could send had been defeated by one of their own. Zaitsev became a symbol. He was pulled from the front line and used to train more snipers. His confirmed kill count rose. Over 200 enemy soldiers, including dozens of snipers. Posters carried his face. Recruits memorized his name. But behind the legend, doubts began to form. After the war, Soviet archives were opened. German records were studied. And historians noticed something troubling. There was no record of a Major Erwin Koenig missing in Stalingrad. No sniper school commander listed as killed. No funeral notices. No correspondence from Berlin mentioning such a loss. Some historians proposed another name, Heinz Thorvald, or variants close to it, but the trail always went cold. So the question emerged. Did the German master sniper ever exist at all? One theory suggests the duel was real, but the man was not a major, not famous, not sent from Berlin. Just an exceptionally skilled German sniper whose death was inflated into myth. Another theory suggests something more calculated. That Soviet commanders created Koenig to elevate Zaitsev. that the duel never happened as described, and that several separate sniper kills were woven into one dramatic narrative. Even Zaitsev's memoirs, written years later, were shaped by censors. Dates shift, details blur, dialogue appears that could never have been remembered verbatim. And yet, something did change. After the alleged duel, German sniper effectiveness in that sector dropped sharply. Soviet units advanced more confidently. Enemy officers grew cautious, hiding further from the front. The psychological impact was undeniable, regardless of whether Koenig had been real. Zaitsev himself lived. He was wounded later in the battle but survived the war, nearly blind from injuries caused by mine explosions. He studied engineering. He rarely spoke about the duel in public. When asked late in life whether Koenig truly existed, Zaitsev reportedly paused for a long time. Then he said, "I knew the man I was hunting was real, because he hunted like I did." That may be the most honest answer history will ever get. Because in war, truth and myth fight alongside each other. Sometimes the myth wins battles the truth cannot. The Battle of Stalingrad ended in February 1943. Over 2 million men were dead, wounded, or captured. The German Sixth Army was destroyed. The tide of the war turned. But in the rubble, one story survived. 2 invisible men. 1 ruined city. A duel no one fully saw, yet everyone remembers. And that is why, more than 80 years later, people still argue about a single shot fired in the ruins of Stalingrad. Because somewhere between legend and lie, history hides.